What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are going to be talking about Survivor, talking about a dream season between the pre-merge versus post-merge, drawing some inspiration from the upcoming season of Survivor South Africa. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa. We're super excited to get to share this video with you guys. It's always interesting trying to do videos during the Survivor hiatus just because there's a limited amount of ideas, honestly, out there. So we're really excited that Survivor South Africa gave us this inspiration. And we're also really excited to get to do more videos that we don't normally get to do during the Survivor on season, like challenge videos and other stuff like that. So really exciting time.
Yeah, check out our latest video where we tried I can never get the name right. The ball drop challenge. We're famous from Malcolm, famous from Suri. So definitely check that out. You can see how good or bad Alyssa and I did. But for this Survivor pre-merge versus post-merge season, some criteria that we based our fake cast off of, we are basing it sort of off of the Survivor South Africa casting for their upcoming season. So this will be pre-merge versus post-merge. It is nobody who has made the final tribal council. There are no returnee players. So this is sort of like a second chance-esque kind of season. And for us, we picked between players from season 35 to 42, since the last returnee season was Game Changers, not besides Winners at War. And also Jeff said that maybe they're not going to do any returnee seasons with people pre-season 40. But honestly, between 35 and 42, there are so many good characters that we would love to see have their second chance because they've never had a returnee season like eligible for them, besides Edge of Extinction, Winners at War, obviously. But yeah, second chance-esque kind of season. We were really trying not to pick too big name of people because we wanted the playing field to be even. So not like Game Changers where you have like 4 or 5 super big name people and then everyone else is sort of in the middle there. So trying to keep it even with these people.
Yeah, and Rachel and I actually ended up having some people in common, but also some people we definitely didn't have in common. So we're super excited to get to share this with you. And we're also going to have a list of honorable mentions at the end. So if you don't hear your favorite person in this list, just wait until the end. Maybe they're in our honorable mentions, maybe they're not, and you can yell at us in the comments.
So we have 2 tribes, the pre-merge tribe and then the post-merge tribe, each having 10 people each, 5 men and 5 women. And so going back to the 2 merge tribe seasons and not a 3 starting tribe season here. So for the pre-merge women, we created the cast. Alyssa and I both had lists, and then we sort of bargained to get people into this final cast that we created. So for the pre-merge women, we have Allie Elliott from season 35, Natalie Cole from David vs. Goliath, Wendy from Edge of Extinction, Genie from season 41, and Jenny from season 42.
And I will say that I think the pre-merge women were the ones that we agreed on the most about because we both wanted Allie, Natalie, and Wendy to be on our lists. So we definitely we're in agreement there about who we thought deserved to come back. And I feel like of all of these women, and all of the pre-merge cast in general, I feel like there's a general theme of they didn't get to do enough. Like Allie, I feel like was shaping up to be a really good strategic player. Wendy hurt her ACL or MCL, one of her ligaments, and ended up having to go home because of that. And honestly, Natalie, maybe she wasn't going to get any more strategic, but she is such a good character to have around because I feel like she's one of the true survivor villains of this era where people don't like her, but they love to hate her.
I agree, especially for Natalie. She has done some podcasts with RHAP, few and far between. I feel like she is hard to get a hold of being a CEO and all that. So she is definitely very, very intelligent when she is talking about Survivor things. So it would be cool to see her back after that first time in David vs. Goliath. Similarly, like for Jenny in season 42, a lot of people think how she went home was really, really sad with the rock jaw and all of that at that crazy tribal council. And a lot of people thought Jenny could have gone really, really far in that season. And I feel like for me, for Allie, I believe she was my winner pick for season 35. So a lot of the people that I wanted to see on this cast were my winner picks from their original season. So it's like, I think they have potential and they could go really far. And it's sort of similar to like Chris or Rick in Edge of Extinction. Sure, they were voted out early, but then when they were back in the game, they could go really far. Similar to Kelly Wentworth in her first season, getting voted out pre-merge, coming back and being a superstar at the game. I feel like some people just need a second chance and they could become superstars and like Survivor legends after that first time out.
Yeah, and I guess one of the people that I thought was interesting, who might not necessarily become like a superstar, but could still do better, is Genie, just because I feel like getting put on that tribe with Ricard and Shan, like it's always hard when you're up against a duo, and I feel like there's very few ways where she makes it to the merge, just because like that duo really hard to split. So I think Survivor is just as much a game of like luck as it is a game of strategy sometimes. And like sometimes you get swap screwed. And I feel like that definitely is something that happened to Genie. And so I would like to see more of her gameplay just because she plays the very like honest, even keel type game. And I like that sometimes. I think it's a good counterpoint to people who are like constantly running around, doing idols, doing advantages, all of that crazy stuff.
Yeah, maybe another dream cast we could pretend cast would be like a hot mess season where you stick all of the like big characters on an island together. But for Genie, I think if she were to ever play a second time, she said in exit interviews she really regrets sharing that idol clue with Shannon Ricard. So hopefully if she does come back a second time, she would be able to be more cutthroat, because I feel like that's something that she was missing her first time. Even with playing an honest game, some things maybe you should keep to yourself. And maybe you learn something from that first time that you can bring into your second game about sharing advantages and clues and then being more cutthroat and willing to backstab or lie to someone.
Yeah, I always think it's interesting to see who changes their game and who stays the same when they come back for another season. So that would be fun to see.
So for pre-merge men, our 5 guys are James Lim from Ghost Island, Pat from David vs. Goliath, Jason Linden from Island of the Idols, Voce from season 41, and then Jackson from season 42.
Yeah, and I guess I also petitioned for like more people to be added to this list, but I feel like the main thing for these guys is I wanted the people who never got to play, because like Pat and Jackson both never got to play because of medical stuff before like the game even really started. Like I always think it's so tragic when someone gets medically evacuated, especially as early as both Pat and Jackson got medically evacuated, because it's like they didn't even get to play. And I feel like that's always so frustrating, because it's like we don't know if they would have been awful Survivor players or great Survivor players, but I want to know.
That's why I feel like, especially for Pat and Jackson, it would be hard to be invited back for any kind of season because no one really knows them. They wouldn't know how these two would play because they were like the first boots medically evacuated. So it would be hard to get back onto any kind of season. I feel like Pat maybe has a bigger chance of getting back in the future because Jeff has said that Pat was the person that inspired the entire David vs. Goliath season. So to have him go home because of that boat ride coming back from that first challenge is honestly devastating, because it seemed like production really, really liked him to frame a whole season and be inspired by him. So I think Pat would have a really high chance of coming back in the future.
Yeah, I feel like Jackson, maybe not so much, just because like his medical evacuation was because he failed to disclose something and that was dangerous. And I feel like they would definitely maybe not trust him as much the second time around, or like maybe there would be something in place where he would have like a longer quarantine or something to make sure that he's off of all medications. But yeah, I think he's kind of a controversial choice, but I stand by the fact that like since we never got to see him play the game, I would still want to see that.
And a lot of people preseason were excited to see Jackson playing, especially for like trans representation. To also have him go home in the first episode was really sad. So, James Lim from Ghost Island. I guess a funny story about James. I had a coworker back in college. She was an MBA student, and so she's like older, like 28. And so she said she actually knows James from Harvard, and like they were maybe 1 year apart or something. So then when we were talking about Survivor, yeah. So I guess I don't know, connections there maybe, but I think James could be a good person to bring back. It seems like he wasn't really a big fan of Survivor the first time. I think he applied for like the Amazing Race and then got brought into Survivor, similar to Parvati in that aspect. But if he studies Survivor and maybe he's learned since the season airing and being on Survivor, I think he's really, really smart. So he could do really well on a returnee season coming back after he's learned the game.
Yeah, I always think it's interesting when people like don't know as much about Survivor going into the game. So, meh.
It's a good thing to study for the next time you go on. Similarly, like for my winner picks, I think Jason for me maybe was my winner pick for Island of the Idols. He was definitely high up there for me going into that season, doing our like preseason cast assessments and stuff like that. So I feel like Jason could come back and do really, really well at the game. I think in exit interviews, he said like, oh, he had a mark on his back from day one because people were calling him Stephen Fishback. People thought that he was really, really smart because he's like, you know, maybe nerdy looking. But I think in a returnee season, people probably don't care about that as much. But in those newbie seasons, if you have a mark like that on your back, it's going to follow you through. And especially like, yeah, I don't know. The way that he went home is like almost a tie vote. And then I was like, oh, dang, sucks for him.
Yeah, I feel like one of the hard things about like first time seasons is just that people's opinion of you is based just as much on like their stereotypes of you, like what they think the first time they see you, as like your actual person. And I feel like on returnee seasons, you get less of the stereotyping because they have like bits of you that they can study already. And so you get less of the like, oh, he's a Fishback type, he's a Tony type, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
And then last up for our pre-merge men, we have Voce, season 41. I think similar, like we've been talking about with this whole pre-merge group, you know, small tribes, it's so hard, especially with the 6-person starting tribes in season 41 and 42. If you're on the wrong side of the numbers or if your tribe is bad at challenges, you sort of get the short end of the stick there. And I feel like Voce has so much potential to do really well at this game. I think maybe Alyssa and I, when we did our season 41 boot list, both had him in our final 6, thinking that he would go really far. So I think he really definitely has a lot of potential. He's really smart. He does like RHAP coverage and stuff. So he's in the Survivor community, and from his interviews and talking about the previous seasons of Survivor, seems like he could do really well.
I mean, that's 100% what I would say. So stop stealing everything I'm going to say.
Where Voce stands, I guess. So for the post-merge women, we have Kellen from Ghost Island, Victoria from Edge of Extinction, Karishma from Island of the Idols, Lauren from Island of the Idols, and Tori from season 42.
Yeah. Oh, my voice just cracked.
Oh my gosh, Alyssa, how old are you?
I don't know. I guess 13. But again, I feel like the general theme of this is like strategic people who got like axed because they were so strategic. Like I think Kellen definitely like came into the merge too hard, and that was why she ended up like going when she did, because people saw her as a strategic threat. Victoria, more of the same. Lauren, the same. Tori, not as much. And Karishma, I don't think as much either, but like definitely those 3 were like, you're strategic, we need you gone because you have a real chance of winning.
I agree. I feel like Kellen, Victoria, and Lauren are sort of the like robbed goddesses of the season, or like the people that you want to target and get out. And then Karishma and Tori sort of fall into that category, like Jason Linden, sort of like, oh, you get stereotyped or seen a certain way and you can never really fit in with that group you are in the tribe with. I feel like Karishma sort of had that in the merge tribe. No one really wanted to work with her. People were being mean and making fun of her. Tori just sort of never also found her footing in the game, making those social connections at the starting tribe or at the merged tribe. But it seems like, you know, Tori and Karishma can make real life connections. Tori is loved by the season 42 cast outside of the game. Karishma, also very smart. She does those survivor related interviews. And it seems like I feel like Karishma and Tori could definitely improve their placements if they were to play again. And then they wouldn't have, hopefully they would be able to make those social connections, and then they wouldn't be like ostracized from the group.
Yeah, and I feel like Tori also kind of got screwed over because of the whole thing. Was it Final 5? You know what I'm talking about. So I feel like in general, I like to bring back people who got screwed by game twists. So
the final 10, the split tribal into 5s. I think
I don't know what I'm talking about, but whatever.
But yeah, Kellen has done like those sequester mini games back when those were happening, like last summer, and she made it really far. So it seems like she would be good in a returnee season. You know, she maybe would go against the Dom and Wendell type and not follow like a Laurel or Donathan kind of thing. So I think Kellen would be really interesting to play again because she has that experience where like a group of people just run the whole season, but being able to realize that and target it and get people to get on board to target that power structure would be good to break up the monotony of pagongings.
That would be fun. That would be fresh. I like it. So
yeah. Anything else to say about the post-merge women? I think Victoria also could be really, really good on a second season. Lauren Ashley Beck, very, very popular in the Survivor universe. She has a very popular TikTok. So if she wants to come back, I feel like she could do really well. I feel like we're saying that about every single person that we think they could do really well, which that's why returnee seasons like this are so sad, because someone has to go home first. And then it's like, dang, to have your second time and you made it really far the first time and then you get voted out first the second time is a bummer. Or if you were voted out early the first time and the second time, that's also a bummer. So it just makes me sad.
You don't want to be the Francesca Hoagie who goes out first twice. So
yeah, Alyssa, there's a chance for that to happen in the upcoming Survivor South Africa season. Someone was voted out first their OG season and they could get voted out first this time. So I'm like,
Rachel
that
and I
just
have
sucks.
talked about how if like that was us and we ever like went on Survivor and also went on a returnee season, like we would make sure that we Francesca Hoagied someone. It's why Francesca can never come back for a third time, because people would vote her out first, just like for the lols.
For the meme. So we'll have to see. I really hope the person for Survivor South Africa can make it past the first one, because it just sucks to be the first boot twice on like your dream show. I'd be like, it's funny because it's a meme, but it would be so sad because you don't get that experience.
Yeah.
So for the post-merge men, we have War Dog from Edge of Extinction, Davey from David vs. Goliath, Jamal from Island of the Idols, and then Omer and Hai from season 42.
I just feel like they're all such great like characters. Like War Dog is like Tony, but like not Tony with a twist, one might say. Davey was just Davey. I feel like a lot of people want to see Jamal back just because he was so articulate throughout the mess that was like the Island of the Idols post-merge. Omer is Omer and Hai is Hai. So like, yeah.
I agree. Honestly, I don't know if I have much to say about this group of 5. I feel like all of them should be invited back for a second season, whether it is this pre-merge, post-merge, fake season, or if it's like a second chance season. I would love to see this group of 5 again, just because they're also different, also unique. They all bring something new to the table, I think. And so it's cool to see these characters And I think all 5 of these guys are really, really, or can be really good at the game, like we've said and repeated about every single person on our list. But I would love to see this group of 5 again.
Yeah, I think especially Omer, like, I love that guy so much. So, yeah.
So that rounds out our cast of 20, 10 pre-merge women, or 10 pre-merge people, and then 10 post-merge people. So we have our cast of 20 here. For honorable mentions, we will zip through it and maybe highlight a few people that we want to talk about. But honorable mentions from HHH, we have Joe and Dr. Mike. Ghost Island, we have Bradley, Brendan. I think he was my winner pick for Ghost Island. Chris Noble and Michael Yerger, Gabby from David vs. Goliath, Christian from David vs. Goliath, Reem from Edge of Extinction, and then for Island of the Idols, we have Chelsea, Jamal, or he was on the main cast, Elaine, Janet, 41, we have Evie, JD, Brad, Nasir, Shannon, Ricard, and then season 42, we have Zach.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the cast of 41, I feel like even if you're only going to do like returnees from 41 and 42, I feel like the cast of 41 is really like it's a deep bench in so far as like who you could bring back and like have people remember them and be rooting for them. Because I feel like everyone who made the merge in that season was just like a whole character.
Yeah, that's why it was Alyssa and I wanted to go back to season 35 for this cast rather than just picking from 41 and 42, because it would be a little bit awkward if you just pick like, oh, 10 people from 41 and then 10 people from 42. It'd be such like a fantasy season of, oh, what would have happened if the casting was a little bit different, because there's a lot going around. Like certain people were supposed to be on 41 and then they got pushed to 42, which switched to the tribes in 41. So it's like a whole fantasy universe you can get into. But maybe we can do another like dream cast season coming into after we finish season 43, 44, because then we'll have a lot more people to pick from, and then maybe we can have a more like realistic returnee season if Jeff is truly going to be adamant about not bringing people back from pre-season 40, but I really think he should. We have so many good people from the last returnee season that should come back.
And I feel like a lot of players like get better a second time. And so I feel like it's bad to like deny people the chance to like get a second chance. So especially because like some of those people never got another chance to like be on a returnee season. And I think it's unfair to say that like everyone from like 36 to 39, just the last returnee season, I guess Island of the Ed, you know what I mean. I think it's unfair to say that none of those people deserve a second chance. So
yeah, that is just extra unlucky. Unlucky you're voted out pre-merge. Unlucky you got on a Survivor season to fulfill your dream. But Jeff crushes it because you're not allowed back anymore because you came too early to this show. You should have waited a few years.
rolling my eyes, shaking my head.
So yeah, definitely let us know in the comments some people that you would want to see back on a returnee season, potentially a Survivor pre-merge versus post-merge-esque kind of season, taking inspiration from Survivor South Africa. For the upcoming weeks, maybe next week, I think we'll talk about the Challenge USA because that premieres, so we can give our recap about the premiere of the Challenge USA. So that will be very exciting. And then potentially once Survivor South Africa starts, we might do our weekly recaps for that show. But it's on 4 times a week. So that is so many times that you have to watch.
Yeah, and also let us know in the comments down below if there's any other challenge DIYs that you would like us to try. We're not skilled carpenters, and so we're having a struggle bus trying to get some of these challenges done. But we really enjoy doing the challenge DIYs, and we'd like to see what you guys want to see. So yeah, let us know all that and more in the comments down below. And